I have proof that American companies are posting completely fake job listings, positions they never intended to fill. But it gets worse. These ghost jobs are flooding platforms like LinkedIn and Indeed, wasting millions of hours of job seeker time. Entry-level job postings have dropped 11.2% since 2021, while positions requiring no prior experience fell another 7 to 10%. Meanwhile, for the first time in US history, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates now exceeds the national average. And this raises the fundamental question: how is anyone supposed to break into the workforce when the very jobs designed to give you experience require experience you can't get? Let me start with something that really gets me fired up. These fake job listings that are absolutely destroying the job market. Recent resume builder research found that 40% of companies posted fake job listings, with 30% currently advertising non-existing roles right now as we speak. But here's where it gets really insane. Revelio Labs discovered that job postings are half as likely to result in hires compared to 2019. We've gone from 8 hires per 10 job postings to 4 hires per 10 postings. That means half of all job postings today are completely meaningless. And companies justify this by claiming they're building talent pipelines or gauging market conditions. But let's call it what it is. They're systematically lying to people who desperately need work while wasting millions of hours of job seekers' time. And here's what makes me absolutely furious. 70% of hiring managers think posting fake jobs is morally acceptable. They're literally deceiving people who are struggling to pay rent, feed their families, and start careers, and they think that's perfectly fine. Among companies that posted ghost jobs, 26% posted up to 3 fake listings, 19% posted 5, and get this, 13% posted 75 or more fake job listings. There's now a movement of people fighting back against this, where they started a petition trying to ban ghost jobs that has already hit 50,000 signatures. And the worst part, 1 in 5 employers have been found to automatically repost inactive jobs. Here's where the hypocrisy gets absolutely ridiculous. According to recent Forbes research, 89% of HR leaders actively avoid hiring recent graduates, while 98% claim they're struggling to find talent. Let that sink in. They refuse to hire the very people looking for work, then complain about talent shortages. Companies spend 4 times more on recruiting than internal development, with 2/3 of executives reporting their companies offer no learning budget or training stipend. They want experienced workers, but refuse to create experienced workers. The situation has become so backwards that traditional advice, getting experience at grocery stores or restaurants, now actively hurts your chances. ATS systems automatically reject candidates with low status work experience, signaling class bias to recruiters. The very jobs that were supposed to teach work ethic and responsibility are now being treated as disqualifiers. LinkedIn's algorithm actually punishes unemployment gaps by promoting profiles without gaps substantially more than those unemployed. The system is literally designed to keep people down once they fall behind. And what's especially infuriating is how these same companies that refuse to hire entry-level workers then turn around and complain about the skills gap and how nobody wants to work. They've created the problem they're complaining about. Today's statistics paint a picture so disturbing, it's almost hard to believe. Entry-level job postings dropped over 11% from Q1 2021 to Q2 2024, while positions requiring no prior experience fell another 7 to 10%. At the same time, entry-level roles demanding artificial intelligence skills surged 30%. So think about that for a second. They're eliminating the jobs for beginners while simultaneously demanding advanced technical skills for entry-level positions. It's completely insane. Internal hiring has collapsed dramatically. According to recent workforce analytics, companies are increasingly filling positions externally rather than promoting from within, a significant shift from historical practices when internal development was the norm. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, conditions remain challenging for recent college graduates, with unemployment rates at 5.3% and underemployment rates holding steady at just over, get this, 41%. This means nearly half of college graduates are working in jobs that don't even require their degree. Competition for internships has intensified to absolutely ridiculous levels. ServiceNow reported a 50% increase in internship applications this year, while Citadel saw applications rise 65%, accepting less than 1% of their 69,000 applicants. Research indicates there's a significant shortage of quality internship opportunities relative to student demand. Many students who do complete internships report that their experiences lack the structured, skill-based learning that would make them valuable career stepping stones. This artificial scarcity has driven the rise of unpaid internships to absolutely absurd levels. Despite the National Association of Colleges and Employers data showing paid interns average $67,500 starting salaries compared to just the $45,000 for unpaid interns, 39.2% of internships remain unpaid. And here's the kicker that really shows just how broken the system is. Paid interns receive 1.61 job offers on average, while unpaid interns receive just 0.95 offers on average. So you essentially get them to work for free, learn less, get worse connections, and still receive fewer job opportunities. The unpaid internship system isn't just exploitative, it's actively harmful to your career prospects. But wait, it gets worse. Only 26 out of 435 House offices and 43 out of 100 Senate offices offered paid internships, with just 51% of Republican offices and just 31% of Democratic offices providing any compensation. Even our government institutions are perpetuating this exploitative system. What really gets me is that this simply can't be dismissed as corporate greed. When government offices, institutions funded by taxpayers, refuse to pay interns, you realize this is a systematic problem that goes well beyond individual company decisions. This disaster didn't happen overnight, and understanding how we got here is crucial to understanding why the current system is so fundamentally broken. Before industrialization, skill development actually worked. Knowledge transfer happened through apprenticeships, a system that traced back to ancient Mesopotamia, where young artisans learned their craft under master craftsmen in exchange for discounted labor. This model spread throughout ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome, and by medieval Europe, guilds had formalized this process, requiring apprentices to live alongside their mentors for at least a decade, unable to marry or earn wages until accepted by the guild. Only then could they begin practicing their trade independently while training apprentices of their own. And this system worked because it was mutually beneficial. Masters got cheap labor while passing on their knowledge to apprentices who got guaranteed training and eventual independence, and society got skilled craftsmen. Everyone had incentives aligned properly. The Industrial Revolution completely destroyed this structured pathway in favor of mass production and efficiency. Suddenly, individuals of all ages were forced to do these repetitive tasks that severely limited skill development and left industries without the trained workforce needed to sustain a rapidly evolving economy. Companies were forced to respond by experimenting with company-led training, programs to develop a more stable and skilled workforce. Among the first to formalize this approach were Ford and General Electric, which pioneered rational training programs where new hires would start in lower-level roles, gaining hands-on experience across multiple departments to develop the skills necessary for internal career advancement. But here's the crucial difference. These programs were designed for long-term employee development because companies expected people to stay for decades. They had incentives to invest in training because they'd recoup their investment over time. The Fair Labor Act standards of 1938 mandated the 40-hour work week, implemented minimum wage protections, and placed strict restrictions on child labor. This forced companies to fundamentally restructure their workforce pipelines, accelerating a dramatic shift towards structured entry-level positions and internal hiring programs. Fueled by a booming post-war economy and the dominance of American manufacturing, corporations filled roughly 90% of their vacancies through internal promotions and lateral assignments leading up to the 1980s. People had clear career ladders and predictable advancement paths. But then the 1980s fundamentally reshaped corporate hiring practices with a combination of economic stagnation, deindustrialization, and the relentless pursuit of globalization. As 1.4 million manufacturing jobs were lost between 1979 and 1984, the Department of Education's publication of A Nation at Risk caused educational priorities to completely shift away from vocational training programs. This made high school diplomas less relevant in the job market, replacing vocational education with college as the new baseline. This reinforced a growing divide between high-level professional jobs and low-wage service roles. From 1960 to 1970, 36% of new jobs were in professional and managerial positions, but by the 1980s, only 28% of new jobs were in high-level occupations, leaving a majority of emerging opportunities in low-wage service jobs like waitstaff and retail, rather than the skilled managerial roles. High school graduates increasingly found themselves stuck in low-skilled, low-wage positions with limited pathways for advancement, contributing to a significant drop in wages. During this period, wages for young men fell from $15.20 in 1979 to $11.85 in 1995, while wages for young women declined from $12.40 to $9.80. As college degrees became established as the baseline hiring standard, the rise of internships allowed entry-level positions to be filled by unpaid or underpaid interns, leading companies to increasingly abandon workforce development as their responsibility. They shifted the burden of skill acquisition entirely onto candidates and universities, and even back then, the initial signs of degree inflation mirrored issues that still persist today. A 1983 New York Times article highlighted how companies' continued campus recruitment had compounded the oversupply problem by raising their hiring standards dramatically. In fields like retail, which had not cut back on college hiring, recruiters found themselves in inevitable positions of considering only the top graduates while simultaneously requiring work experience. Don Franklin, director of executive recruitment for Gimbel's Midwest, noted, "A few years ago, we were happy to find students who had done well academically and were enthusiastic about our company. Now, in addition to good grades, most of my colleagues in retailing are hiring graduates who have had work experience, preferably in this field, and who have played leadership roles in extracurricular activities." If the 1980s damaged the system, 2008 completely broke it. By 2009, unemployment rates for young adults soared well above national averages. The continued decline of manufacturing eliminated millions of jobs and entire career pathways that had once provided young workers with a stable upward mobility. These weren't just jobs, they were entire career ecosystems that provided predictable advancement from entry-level positions to management roles. As businesses adapted to the post-recession economy, entry-level jobs were fundamentally restructured. They were no longer designed for long-term career growth. A 2014 CBS article noted that employers had stopped hiring entry-level workers to train and develop, and instead prioritizing candidates who could immediately start generating revenue. A director at Deloitte Consulting reinforced this shift, saying, "What we need is people who can immediately get in front of clients. They're not going to sit in the back office anymore." Companies are no longer willing to invest in developing people. They wanted immediate returns. This led companies to increasingly turn to underpaid or unpaid internships as a replacement for traditional entry-level positions. In 1992, only 17% of college students had participated in an internship. By 2008, that number had increased to 83%, with experts estimating that 1/4 to 1/2 of those internships were unpaid. By 2010, an NBC report revealed that employers posted 643 unpaid internships on Stanford's job board, more than triple the 174 listed just 2 years earlier. A 2015 Harvard Business School study found that 67% of production supervisor roles required a college degree, even though only 16% of employed supervisors actually had one. This reinforced the growing disconnect between job qualifications and real-world requirements. Companies were demanding credentials they didn't actually need while refusing to train people for skills they could easily teach. By the time the United States began recovering from the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, mid-wage occupations accounted for 60% of the jobs lost during the recession, but only 27% of the jobs regained post-recovery. Meanwhile, low-wage jobs, which made up 21% of recession losses, accounted for 58% of new jobs created. This punished those without college degrees or those unable to secure jobs post-graduation, into low skill, low wage, dead-end roles, further eroding the foundation for traditional career pathways. As a result of stagnant economic conditions alongside the 2020 global crisis, only 24% of current vacancies are now filled with internal candidates, a 66% decrease from just the last 50 years. The rise of automation and artificial intelligence threatens to displace an additional 45.3 million workers by 2030, completely eliminating entire categories of work that once served as stepping stones for career advancement and replacing them with more dead-end, low-wage jobs. Based on analysis of resumes from entry-level workers without a college education, a 2021 report from Burning Glass Technologies found that after 5 years, 48% remain stuck in a cycle of dead-end jobs with little to no career progression. This accompanies the 53 million Americans aged 18 to 64 that earn median hourly wages of $10.02 and median annual earnings of $17,950 without a clear path to higher wages. We're talking about a permanent underclass with no realistic opportunity for advancement. But even those who pursued college education face similar challenges. 2 out of 5 executives say their company doesn't offer a learning budget or training stipend. They want experienced workers but refuse to create them. I think there are more of us that actually want to get out of this situation, that want to be able to afford a house, afford a family, afford what once was the American dream. But the problem I've seen is that employers don't want to guess anymore. They don't want to waste time and money training you on the job, and they definitely don't want to take risks. What they want is clear proof you can do the job. And I realized the best solution to this problem, the keyword here is best, as there really is no perfect solution. It was to create affordable courses that teach people exactly what employers want for their entry-level positions. The idea was to match our education to job postings for specific job titles. So let's say, for example, if you wanted a job in human resources, we would identify all the common skills and knowledge employers look for in entry-level human resources positions and teach exactly that, allowing our students to be a perfect match for what employers are looking for. And that's exactly what we built at Course Careers. And the simple idea of matching your education to job descriptions using affordable online education has led to thousands of people starting high-paying careers without needing any degrees or previous experience. I do believe we built a better model for starting careers that is more effective than colleges and takes less than 1/10 of the time, and by the way, is over 100 times less expensive. But this isn't about being anti-college, it's about recognizing that the current system isn't working, and the only way to fix it is to change it. At Course Careers, we've proven there's a better way. Our students skip the unpaid internship trap and go straight into paid positions with companies that value what you can do instead of where you went to school. We've even started focusing on blue-collar jobs such as plumbing, electrical, and HVAC, and construction project management. We've now lowered the barrier to entry into these high-demand careers so that really all someone needs to do is learn the basics online, and then they'll be able to land a paid apprenticeship without needing to go to trade school. If what we're doing at Course Careers sounds interesting to you, I'll include a link to it down below in the description and comments. Check it out for yourself, and feel free to sign up for one of our free introduction courses if you want to start a new career but lack that traditional experience or degree that the college system requires. To wrap things up, remember, we don't have to accept a future where 40% of job postings are fake, where young people waste years in unpaid internships hoping someone will eventually hire them, or where recent graduates face higher unemployment than the general population. The old system is dying. Companies are spending more on recruiting while offering less training. Ghost jobs are wasting everyone's time. Internships are becoming more exploitative. College costs are skyrocketing while job prospects are diminishing, but the alternative pathways are growing. Skill-based hiring is increasing. Companies are recognizing that talent comes from ability, not credentials. Apprenticeships are expanding rapidly when done correctly. The question is, will you be part of building what comes next, or will you be waiting for systematic change from the very institutions that have already failed you?